2007, you'd see the Spurs sweeping the Cavaliers for the NBA title. That was the height of the Big Three era, and also LeBron James' first NBA Finals. He was just 22 years old, and after it was all over, we got this nice moment of LeBron and Tim Duncan running into each other in a hallway.
Great job, Lane. Good job. Hey, man, I love how you're on the 15 minutes. Stay that way, man. Stay that way. You're going to drive these guys, and this is going to be your league in a little while. But I appreciate you giving us this here.
This is going to be your league in a little while, but I appreciate you giving us this one. Duncan and LeBron had cameras following them everywhere back then. Not shockingly, there was no camera following around Jacques Vaughn. I don't know. Vaughn had hardly been a point of conversation. He was a journeyman on the Spurs bench who played about 10 minutes a game in those 2007 finals, averaging exactly 2 points per game. Fast forward then 13 years to last night when Vaughn was again on the same court as LeBron, this time as the interim coach of the Nets. Vaughn got the gig after the team abruptly parted ways with Kenny Atkinson a few days ago. And while Vaughn has been a head coach before, a short, if unexceptional, stint with the Magic, his name has again been notably absent from the conversation. Actually, many news stories skipped over him entirely when they reported Atkinson's departure, jumping right into speculation over whether guys like Ty Lue or Mark Jackson might get the job eventually. But whether he is being talked about or not, for at least 20 games, Jacques Vaughn is the coach of the Brooklyn Nets. And so far, he is making the most of the opportunity. On Sunday, the Nets beat Chicago, and last night, the Nets, after that, held off a scorching Lakers team that had just dispatched the Bucks and Clippers. Maybe a letdown game was inevitable for LA, and indeed, the Lakers looked disinterested in parts of the third quarter, but they certainly rallied toward the end. This three from Anthony Davis, this tied the game with just 43 seconds left. Look at that pose.
Hold it.
Let them all see.
Yeah.
Then it was Spencer Dinwiddie's turn. Nice 18-footer to give the Nets the lead. Right? Talk that talk. He's from around here, too.
It's always a foul.
LeBron to the hoop.
Oh.
No, that roll was savage, guys. Look at this.
That was a big, big miss right there.
Woo! And then finally, we got a LeBron kicking out to Anthony Davis, who had that clean three that didn't go, sealing the game for Brooklyn. Got to give the Nets bench some credit, by the way, on the AD miss. Look at Kevin Durant. He did the whole playground yell thing at Davis as he shoots. It worked. After the game, most of the conversation was, again, not about Vaughn or even the Nets. It was more about the Lakers missing a chance to gain a game on the Bucks in the standings. But whether it's loud or quiet, Vaughn is now 2-0 as interim coach. And he's clearly working to communicate with players in a way Atkinson reportedly did not toward the end of his tenure. He's elevated DeAndre Jordan to the starting lineup, which has made KD and Kyrie happy. He's talking about adding new defensive sets if he does well. If the Nets make a decent stretch run and rep themselves honorably in the playoffs, will Vaughn have a real starting shot at the job permanently? Probably not, actually. That's just not how the NBA works in high-profile situations on teams with big stars. Guys like Vaughn are rarely part of that conversation, but that doesn't mean they're not there, making their mark decade after decade. So, Fizz, you know Jacques Vaughn.
Very well.
What can he do? Can he do anything to earn this Nets job long-term?
Yeah, win games. I think it's just continuing to really build strong relationships with those main guys, with those stars. But I'm going to tell you something about Jacques Vaughn. Since I was a little kid, we've been together playing basketball. And Jacques Vaughn is one of the greatest basketball minds I've ever been around.
Wow.
From when he was a young kid here in L.A., you can ask anybody in L.A. about his IQ. When he went to Kansas, he was one of the smartest basketball guards we've ever seen. And then at a certain point in the NBA, the super talent always ends up taking over.
Sure.
But from a thinking the game standpoint, teaching the game standpoint, guys respecting him and what he brings to the table, I'm hoping that he gets a real shot at this.
Yeah, you know, the reality is two of the biggest voices in who's going to be the next coach, they're not playing, in Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant.
Right.
And so regardless of what he does with this team, the two probably most influential people he needs to win over aren't experiencing, or they're experiencing it from the bench in street clothes or at home if you're Kyrie recovering and rehabbing. And so that is going to work against them, but that doesn't mean what he does here is meaningless or doesn't have value, because as we know, this is a great proving ground to show other teams that are going to have openings, hey, I'm a pretty good coach. I can take a playoff team and make them, play well and have them in that hunt, basically, to the postseason. And so, and especially when you talk about a guy like Vaughn, a young black coach in this league, guys who don't normally get multiple chances at being a head coach. He got one chance in Orlando. It didn't work out. And when was the last time you heard him as a candidate for any head coaching job?
Not at all.
Not enough. Not enough.
Not at all.
Not at
You
all.
haven't heard him at all. So this is kind of a blessing in disguise for him, regardless of whether it ends up being the Nets head coach or not. He's able to showcase himself. He shouldn't have to, but he's able to showcase himself to other teams. Say, look, I'm still a good coach in this league, a candidate for your job. It's not just the new sexy names they bring up every year.
I mean, and the reality is Kenny Atkinson didn't really have those two guys either. Kyrie Irving's missed 44 games this year, and he never really got to build or experience what it would be like having those guys, and he still had his team in the 7th seed. So that's why I'm still kind of cloudy about the whole firing, because I think Kenny is one of the brightest young coaches in the
Coaches stick up for coaches no matter what, all the time,
Always.
no matter what.
That's
it has
right.
been 9 months, by the way, guys, since KD tore his Achilles, Game 5 of the NBA Finals. And yesterday, we not only saw KD yelling at Anthony Davis from the bench, we actually got some footage of him working out and throwing down a pretty impressive dunk. This, I think, was on his brother's Instagram.
This is on Tony's Instagram. Yeah.
Kevin, 31 years old, right? Yep. So I want to kind of take a look at notable stars who came back after Achilles ruptures. There's the list. And then, what's a little tricky is DeMarcus Cousins, right? He's up there. He comes back.
Right.
He has another injury that's, in the leg. You don't know how related it is,
and then
right?
An ACL.
And then an ACL. So that's all bottom half injuries that you wonder if the Achilles is weaker. Is that just creating these rolling injuries? I'm not a doctor, but
I love that segment.
what do you sort of think about KD as you see him make that dunk and your expectations for him coming off this injury?
I'll never forget the day he ruptured his Achilles. I said the one thing that I think works in his favor is that he ruptured his right Achilles. As a predominantly right-handed player, he's going to push off and explode off his left leg. Yeah. So if you watch it, we can run that clip again. Well, not that clip, but the clip of him working out there on that dunk. You see his explosion and push off and is from the left leg. But right here, that crossover right to left. See how ginger it was? Because he's planning on his right leg. He's favoring it. So it's a little one. But then right there, that's the explosion. That's the KD we know. Because that left leg is healthy. So most of the stuff that he likes doing, he's going to be able to do because that's off the uninjured leg. The question is, as he favors that injured leg, that's when we talk about DeMarcus Cousins, all those other people do. Other injuries occur.
Overcompensating on the other leg. But I think overall, the way he plays the game and as his game continues to evolve, he's a 7-foot shooter. And so ultimately, he's still going to shoot over the top of you, and he's still going to have a huge impact on games. Where I think the graph we probably should be showing is all of those people that we put up there, what happened after the injury? What did they do in the league after the injury, and did they really produce?
It's gotten better, right? So obviously as medical technology has advanced, it's gotten better. So the guys who had those injuries later have done more. It does tend to take some years off a guy's prime, right? Kevin was 30 years old at the time of the injury. What you're talking about, being a little bit more ginger on one side, not having the full range of his game, standing around and being a spot-up shooter in some positions. That's what we think about when guys age. Right?
Absolutely.
When we think about the greats age, maybe so at 31, maybe he will be playing like he would have been playing at 33. I don't.
Exactly.
Really quick, Elton Brand, DeMarcus Cousins, heavy guys. Dominique Wilkins, one of the big
muscle guy.
Is a muscle guy. Rudy Gay, who we didn't even have on there.
Yes.
Has come back pretty good,
completely clean. Coming up, we'll talk about James Harden. Is he back on track after last night's win over the Wolves? Coach Fizz is going to break down some tape for us next.
Hey.
First, though, it's time for our distant replay from this date in 1999. We have black chocolate. I mean, we had chocolate thunder, and now we got white chocolate. It's all over.
All right. Oh. This is the old
Jay Will.
This is at the sports arena.
Right?
There was a leak probably in the ceiling.
He was a wizard with that ball.
So much fun. I had my whole chocolate thunder, white chocolate segue.